So recently, I needed to put together a proposal for a nonprofit board that I was talking to around doing some board development. They needed to really do some work around a struggling board, a non-active board. They needed to create a better board structure. They were actually going to replace the existing board members and bring in some new ones. So I was trying to put together a proposal for them around what those roles should look like and some development for that board once they hire them and bring that group together. In thinking about the proposal, if you've ever had to put one together, or if you're a consultant and you write proposals often, they can be very, very time consuming and can just be kind of painful to do a lot. It's a lot of ways. It's like putting together a resume. You're really trying to put your best foot forward for the organization that you're trying to work with, and you're making sure everything is nice, polished, formatted right. Um, just like I said, like you would in a resume. So you're just trying to make sure everything looks good. So I thought about how I could probably use ChatGPT to make that a little bit faster. And so I went through the process. It actually worked out pretty well. I'm going to try to replicate that here using a fake organization that I created. I didn't want to use the actual client that I was working with here, but going to try to recreate that process here to see, how quickly we can get to a pretty well formatted proposal that I can then put in Word, Google Docs, or something like that, and start to really customize and get a little bit further into detail, but getting probably 70, 80% of the way through the proposal process in a matter of minutes. So let me get my screen going here. We're going to take in a few prompts as well. Let's see. All right. So again, starting in ChatGPT, I am in a free version. I am logged in because I'm going to need to upload a file. So I am on a logged in version, meaning I had to give up an email address, but I'm not paying anything for this account. So you still get a lot of functionality out of that. I do have a paid account. I do recommend it. It is definitely worthwhile. But even if you didn't want to pay for something, you could still accomplish what we're going to do here with a free account. Again, this is all going to happen in real time. I'm not really sure how this is going to end up because I did this before on my other account, when I was doing it for real. I'm using the same prompts again with just the fake organization information that I created, but we're going to see what happens here. So the first prompt that I used was just to set some context for ChatGPT. So basically telling it's a small business consultant that specializes in nonprofit 501c3 organizations. This just helps them set some context for ChatGPT. There's a vast amount of information here. And I think this just helps us kind of narrow down what we want it to be thinking about and looking at when we prompt it further. So we'll start here. Okay. So we've set some context. Now, second prompt, we're going to ask it to take a deep dive into an organization that I created. Again, you could act like this was a real organization, but use ChatGPT to put together this fake scenario or this fake organization, put together a document of information that you would generally be able to find on a website. So it wouldn't be anything too difficult for you to go out and grab for an organization if you wanted to use ChatGPT to help you, again, add the specific context in its output. So we will add that file in here as well. We're going to ask it to do a deep dive. All right, so it's going through in detail the document that I provided. It's going to roll through. Here we go. All right. Now it's getting into some board opportunity development or board development opportunities. Again, we've already kind of set the context here of what it should be thinking about. That's why it went down that route. So would you like tailored recommendations for board recruitment program strategies? No, not yet. We need to do a proposal right now. So the next prompt I'm going to give it here is a little bit more detail. So as I mentioned earlier, this organization was having problems with its board, non-functional. So I think adding a lot of that information, a lot of that detail in your prompt is going to be extremely helpful for what we're trying to get out of here is, and that is a proposal. So we're kind of putting together some of the problems and then some of the outcomes that they're looking for, right? Some of the things that the organization wants to achieve. And then I'm adding in that, I'm just at the proposal stage, and then I want ChatGPT to start to outline that proposal for me, so we can start to put that together. So we will send that through. Okay, and so you can see it's starting to put together a proposal, and you can see there's a format to it, which this format is going to be really helpful here in a little bit. When we want to go take it over and do different things with it. So started putting together a lot of the deliverables, timelines, things like that. Or I'm sorry, not timelines yet. We're going to ask for that in a minute. But it's identifying some of the goals, recruitment strategy, role development, government's best practices, support for major changes, getting into the scope of the work. Again, all these things that you're going to want to identify, deliver, point out, at least in your proposals. Gives you a timeline of a table, or a table of a timeline for each phase that it's listed out here as well. Again, it's kind of automatically determined a timeline here. We didn't give it one, so it created one here anyway. And then giving you a space for the investment, or where you want to put your fees or your costs, or what you're going to charge the client here. So, all right. So it's asking if it outlines with what we want to achieve. Let me know if you want any specific sections. So let's see here. Next prompt is, let's go ahead and start putting together this proposal for me. Recommend timelines that seem reasonable, but also quick enough. It already started putting together proposals, so we're going to change this to finalizing, so we can get this into more of a final document that we can carry over and then do what we want with it. All right. Now it's going through again, repeating many of the things that we had identified before. Remember, we had asked to recommend timelines. So now it's identifying those things kind of in the scope of the work. Timeline, investments, table of the costs, next steps. All right. So this could be pretty good. At my initial glance, maybe some of the goals, the scope of the work might be a little thin. So maybe let's add some more depth to that. So let's just ask for that. Now you're getting a few more bit of the goals in there. A little bit more specific. It's starting to look something that's a little bit more fleshed out. And again, starting with something that might be too much might not be a bad thing, right? It's always easy to take things away. It's hard to create or add new. So having things that might be a little bit too much as you're going through kind of a final review is okay. You can always delete later. So all right, so now we're getting something that's pretty thorough. I like this, the way this is going here. So okay, finishing up deliverables, timeline. Now, whether or not these things are feasible from a timeline perspective, I don't know yet. I haven't really read through this. I obviously did that, when I was putting together the proposal, but that's part of the process that you'll want to go through, when putting these things together. It's going to suggest timelines that may or may not be realistic. So, something to consider there. Also, you could have it estimate costs or fees for what you want to charge the client here as well. Again, make sure that it's something that's realistic for you, what you're trying to achieve, or whatever works for your business anyway. So, you could really go a lot of directions with this, but I think pretty, from where we're at or where we wanted to go anyway, this is a pretty good start. I'm going to copy all of this. Notice I'm kind of going the long route to copy here. There's a couple ways you can copy information in ChatGPT. I like actually just copying the actual printed out text. because it makes it much easier to work with in Word or Docs. There's a copy button here. When you do that and paste it, though, it puts it in like a markdown language, which is a not really important, but language that's used more on the programming side. So remember, we just copied the information straight out of ChatGPT. Let's paste it. All right. So you can see there, most of the formatting carried over really well. Bullets are there, numbering is there. If you don't want to go with the numbering format, you can change that perfectly fine. If you want to add in a title page, obviously you can do that. Insert a page break there, add in your title page and go from there. But what you've got now is a pretty put together document that looks pretty thorough and is in definitely 70-80% enough shape to start getting it ready for a client anyway. So I'd probably do something here with these tables. That doesn't necessarily look too good for me, but that's not too much work there compared to, again, all the alignment, formatting, content, information, things that were automatically created for us here based on what we asked it to do. I think this is a pretty good outcome for getting us pretty far down the road in a matter of minutes. So again, thanks for checking this out. Hopefully this will be something that save you a little bit of time if you're ever in this process. You can use this to do other documents as well. If you're willing or able to work in an environment that might be a little more secure, you can upload your own content. If you have PDFs or PowerPoints or anything like that, if you want to create participant guides, that's a great way to easily get through participant guides, is just uploading some content and ask it to create a guide from that. You can also do that from like a design document or high level design document, but I definitely think this is a way to save some time on getting some pretty thorough, put together, formatted documents that you can begin to put in front of clients in a matter of minutes rather than hours that it might take you sometimes to do proposals. So thanks again.